So thank you, Mrs. Chair. Good morning, everyone. It's a great honor for me to be in this marvelous and historical place, presenting to this select audience some of the results of 5 years of work. I'm speaking on behalf of 189 co-authors. Some of them sitting in the room, and some of them following in the webcast. For me, it's a privilege to present in the Royal Society one of the most interesting and thrilling topics in public health, I mean, assessment on causes of death. And I'm saying a great privilege because in one of these rooms, William Farr, the father of health statistics and causes of death classification and analysis, was accepted as a member of the society 157 years ago, the 27th of February of 1855, to be precise. Horton would like this. Trying to follow the light and wisdom of that visionary of the mid-Victorian England, I'm going to speak about one of the most ambitious assessments of causes of death that ever been done so far. Cause-specific mortality is one of the most fundamental metrics of the population health. The rates and numbers of people who die, where and what age and from what, is a crucial input into policy debates, planning interventions, and prioritizing research for new health technologies. Trends in causes of death provides an important geographical summary of whether society is or not is making progress in reducing the burden of premature mortality. If a health information system, as Alan was pointed out, is not providing timely and accurate information of causes of death by age and sex, major reforms are required. The burden of disease also is driving the agenda for research and development, and we have to consider that seriously. For policymakers, always the key question is, which are the leading causes of death in this place? And the answer of that question at the global level came first until the last decade of the 20th century, with the GBD 1990 results. But today, we are lucky, at the beginning of the second decade of the 21st century, and we have much better numbers to answer that question, not only for the global, for regions, for countries. For those that are interested in causes of death, usually have concerns about how to deal with data sources and data quality. However, we have learned that when you are embarking in this global assessment of causes of death, you need to think carefully in four main issues. Besides the data inputs and data quality, you have to consider seriously the modeling strategy and the way to keep the principle that assuming causes of death should feed the total deaths that we have for all causes. Let me go by detail in one of these steps before I present the results. We have an holistic view. The framework that we have in GBD try to include all the causes of death, and in that case, we have to include all available data. And that is not a joke. It took us 5 years to collect data for different sources. We have now around 1 billion deaths, but for the period that we are analyzing, 30 years, we have 6 million deaths in the last 30 years. However, that means no more than 30% of total deaths for 1 year, the best year that we can have, 2005 in our registry. The reason that we have used more sources is because we want to close the gap. Alan was talking about the gap of vital registration, and we included another sources like verbal autopsies, police reports, etc. However, we haven't decreased the asymmetry between the causes that we have good data and the regions that we have good data. So more data for maternal, for cancer, for injuries, but less for neglected tropical diseases, diarrhea, LRI, talking about the pathogens and cause these infections. One of the most interesting topics in causes of death is how to assess and enhance the data quality and comparability. And this means that, first of all, I recommend strongly that you need to have a strong group of demographers working with you And we have the privilege to work with Haidong Wang, the lead author of the first paper that Alan just presented. We don't have to be worried about the completeness correction, and everything is explained in the paper. The second component, if you want to make trend analysis, you have to deal with the ICD revisions. We have 30 years working by country, so we made consistent and comparable ICD-8, ICD-9, ICD-10, but also we have 25 different tabulations than the country's report of the data, and we make this consistent. Following the direction of Professor Mohsen Nagabi, the lead of one of the leaders of the group of causes of death, he conducted 2 papers, and we have the results in the annex, in the appendix of our presentation, our publication. We have to deal also with the quality of the data, and we redistribute the misclassified causes of death. And I'm presenting here in the map the big gaps, and we have countries like Sri Lanka with 60% of misclassified deaths, and countries like Finland or New Zealand with less than 10% of misclassified deaths. We unify all of this information. Besides, in order to prepare the modeling, we smooth all the stochastic variation due to small numbers. We detect outliers and separate to the analysis, and also we deal with the difficulties for different ways to present age and sex. One of the most innovative components of the causes of death work was all the modeling. And I don't want to go in the details, I don't have time, but I just want to express that more than 60% of our causes were modeled by the CODEM tool. The CODEM tool is a very powerful instrument that can help us not only to predict the number of deaths, also can help us to predict how valid is the model that we are using, especially based in the out-of-sample performance. We include, as I mentioned, 60% of the causes, but also we have another 5 different strategies for causes with less data or with a small number of data. In order to, because we developed single causes model, it was very important in our final step to ensure the individual causes estimated the envelope or the total deaths and the group of demographers estimated for us. So this is one of the most interesting innovation of the study, because we implemented a model that taking in account the uncertainty of each cause, in some way squeeze all the causes and fit with the total number of deaths. We apply this code correct, that's the name of the tool, in a hierarchical way in order to follow some logic and don't overestimate the results. These are the first results, and the GBD has different grouping, and I'm presenting here the first shift of the causes of death using 3 big groups. First of all, I have to tell you that we have let's say, the fortune to analyze the change from the last decade of the last century and the first decade of this century. And that also two decades of a lot of important things around the world. And with these results, you can see the shift, 6 million more deaths in 20 years, decrease of communicable maternal, neonatal, and nutritional from 24% to 25%, increase from non-communicable diseases, and also 1 million more deaths increase from injuries. That means that we can say 2/3 of deaths in the world are related with non-communicable diseases, and 1 to 4 are related with communicables, maternal and neonatal. If we want to explain what is the reason, one of the reasons, not going to the causes, going to the demographic trends, we can see here building 2 scenarios. The scenario saying, two contrafactual scenarios. One saying increase of the population, and the other one aging of population. And the third one is the typical change of the rates by age and causes. And you see, for example, in the communicable maternal, neonatal, and nutritional, in this period of time, a big push in increasing about the change of population growth, but in the different way, the change of the aging of population and the change of the rates move in a negative direction this group of causes. In the opposite way, we have the non-NCDs and the injuries that are pushing up due to the aging and the increase of the population size. These drivers are very important to consider for the analysis of causes of death. Now I'm presenting to you a very busy graph. We have the second level of hierarchy of the causes of death. We have here 21 grouping of causes. I hope you can read, and if not, you have to read the paper. And second, I'm presenting here by sex and age the different causes, and you can immediately identify, thanks to the colorful of Lancet graphs, you can see the neonatal, the infectious diseases going in different ages, the beginning in the youth, how injuries or HIV is increasing, and in the case of women, how maternal deaths are moving and creating around 11% of total deaths in this age. And after 50 years or 45 years start the presence of non-communicable diseases. This is the way that age are making the change. But also you can see this in a different way by regions, and I will to present after. The question about which are the leading causes, what happened from 1990 to 2010, you can see here the first top leading causes are not changing, but the volume of causes are increasing. In the case of ischemic heart disease of a stroke, 35% or 26 more, decreasing for COPD and lower respiratory infections. Lung cancer went from the level 8 to the level 5 with increase of 48%. And probably the most important increase is HIV from the 35 to the 6 with an increase of 300 times, almost 400 times. We have another expression of increase with diabetes, with hypertensive heart disease. I've mentioned it already, lung cancer. If we correct the effect of age and we use premature mortality, the years of life lost, we change the way that we are presented, and probably this is more informative. We are giving more emphasis to the causes of death by children, and you can see that lower respiratory infections and diarrhea still are in the leading causes. Malaria is also very high, and the important increase of HIV, but the new protagonists are kidney diseases, liver cancer, etc. Again, going back to the 21 group of causes, you can see here now the different regions. Our regions are ordered by the mean age of death. And we have here probably the most rich areas of the world and the more poor. And of course, the infectious diseases are in 1990 more important in these areas, in these regions, in Africa and Asia, but decreasing when we move 20 years after. And the agenda for these regions are mainly non-communicable diseases. So we have still something to work here related with the MDGs in Africa. We like to show all the heterogeneity of the world. And we have here the top 25 leading causes organized by globally. But you can see in this heat map that the first number, the first three causes, ischemic, lower respiratory, and stroke, keep constant in almost all regions with the exception of Sub-Sahara and Africa when we have other causes. The new interactive tools that we have outside, and you can also see in the webpage of IHME, can give you the idea how this static graph can take the movement, and you can compare what are the leading causes in each of the regions. For example, we have in the number 20 interpersonal violence, but this is the leading cause in two areas of the world, in tropical Latin America and Central Latin America. That's the diversity of the world. It's hard for me to summarize in one slide all the main findings. I want to share with you that the shifting pattern of the numbers of death across time, regions, and age group is consistent. Second, our estimates of 235 causes of death are also internally consistent, and of course, are different for all publications. We are estimating one 0.47 million deaths in HIV, and the estimates of UNAIDS is 1.77. However, we have almost in all in the big countries, we have a good approach. The case of TB, we have also a little different with WHO, and we are putting new numbers related with pathogens related with diarrhea or respiratory infections that probably are going to create discussion and debate. But we are open to the debate if we receive nice hypotheses of discussion to improve the quality of the information. And also, I have to say that Lancet, as Forbes, now has a list of millionaires. Millionaires, unfortunately, in this case of deaths. In 1990, we have nine millionaires. Now we have 12. The new members of this distinguished group are diabetes, cirrhosis, road injuries, and we can receive soon suicide if we consider the uncertainty and hypertensive heart disease. We have limitation of the study, mainly related with the quality of the data, with the level of access to the data, with the way that we model the uncertainty. So we need to continue improving the analysis, as Sir Richard Pito pointed out. But it's important that we have a decision. When expert opinion and data diverge, we tend to follow the data. And that's one principle that we use all the time. Finally, as Richard Horton said, this is the most comprehensive and systematic analysis of causes of death. We are adding value. We are adding a lot of value, quantifying trends. Now we know where we are because we can say where we were before. Professor Murray can give better lectures of global health because now he's not guessing about if diarrhea is going down. Now he has the data. The students will be benefit for that. We have more data than ever before. We have new methods for improving, and we have demonstrated that the public health priorities everywhere are changing, or soon will be. Thank you very much. Oh.